So we see that the Mueller report is being fed to the press right now. Here's some things that you guys should probably just think about. All right, the media went all in against Trump, right? The vast majority of the media, anyway, and they were grasping at straws, trying to find something to tie around this guy. The Steele dossier was proven to be funded by the Democratic Party against Trump. From what I understand, completely fake. So this was the reason why, or the reason, or how they justified opening up this investigation in the first place. Right? It was based upon the Steele dossier, which is a complete fabrication from everything that I've read and everything I've seen. I've watched both sides of it, and you got to kind of read between the lines, but it's fabricated. It was meant to disrupt him, right, and to just make him look bad and admire him and entangle him and ensnare him in a bunch of controversy, we'll say. But it was made up. There's no truth to it. So they used this to get the ability to investigate him and to go through all this whole process. And they were doing it, from what I can tell, really at the behest of the Democratic Party and the media, who have been working pretty much hand in hand since, from what I can tell, 2006. I'd say when the popularity of the wars and everything started to wane and fall off. And there was no weapons of mass destruction and all of that stuff, so that the Democrats, flooded the media, and they've been in a working relationship, especially the bigger media corporations, for some time now, probably since forever, but it's really just become more public since, I'd say, 2006. You have to understand that people have invested a lot of money and time into getting certain people elected, being a part of a certain party. That's part of their identity. They're wrapped up into it, and they can become fanatics, right? These people they can, absolutely. And that can happen on the Republican side as well. They're not exempt from that. We're all human. The problem here is that the lines have been blurred as far as how the government operates with the media. All right, and they use this relationship, both sides do, to their advantage. And how do they benefit? Well, one side is allowed to basically brainwash, set the narrative for the entire country, and that's a huge power play. That's a lot of influence, a lot of reach, and it's advantageous to these high-ranking officials to have this kind of working relationship with high-ranking members of the media. Right, it works in their favor. And the media gets a news story, they get exclusives, they get those ratings up, tick higher, they get great sources, supposedly. And the government has the ability and has a pipeline now to kind of pump whatever narrative they need to in order to cover their ass, a la 2006 weapons of mass destruction, actually the lead up to that. And that was really a lot of the Republicans' fault, period. So with that being said, you have to understand that this was a focused effort to kind of come at Trump. And the reason why I've defended Trump, one is because I could see the nonsense. I could see the bullshit. It's not that I agree with everything that Trump says. I'm not supposed to. It's not the way. I'm not a sycophant, right? Not for any man, not for anything or anyone. It's not how I work. But it was apparent. It was obvious that this is what they were doing. And I have a lot of friends of mine that, you guys out there that are, that have those Democratic leanings, and that's okay. At one point, I thought that way too, and then over time, I just kind of evolved into a different kind of mindset. But you have to understand, man, that these people, what's going to happen next is the Democrats and the media, that more than likely, they're going to double down, and they're going to make it even a little more crazy, and they're going to try to build a underground kind of conspiracy theory. If you watch some of the Democrats over the years and how they talk about it, they brag about the fact that they can start conspiracy theories and that they're the king of conspiracy and all that kind of stuff. And they may be, I don't know. But that's the very next step here. You're gonna hear more than likely, you're gonna hear the word conspiracy put out there. They're gonna talk about that more and more, and they're gonna have they're gonna have dog whistle kind of politics going on. And both sides do it. Not one is exempt. But that's the next major thing that's gonna happen. They're gonna bring up conspiracies, and they're gonna try to they're gonna try to make it more of an underground movement, and they're going to try to say that, see, we're being silenced. There's all of this pseudo evidence, kind of, there's all this half-ass evidence, right? Which is an oxymoron. Either evidence or it's not. But look for that. Just be smart. Keep your head on the swivel. You know what I mean? You just notice how they're going to play each other. And on the right, you're going to see them celebrate. You're going to see them brag. You're going to see them talk shit. And mainly because they've been defending themselves for the last couple of years around Trump, and they've rallied around him. But what's happening now is that the Democrats are going to take an L. They're taking an L right now. As we speak, they're taking an L. It doesn't matter what comes out. Trump's not involved. It doesn't matter. There's no more indictments. So with that said, they lost. They wanted Trump. They lost. And you can try to say, oh, the subordinates this or something. No, man, they lost. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And it's going to hurt their pride, and it's going to get even more heated going into 2020. I think that's what's going to happen. But the other side of the coin is that there is a possibility that they just quietly accept it, and they take their licks, and then they come back later and they do it in the right fashion. It's probably not going to be the case, man. It just, their identity is so wrapped up in this political beef. And the politics of it, So they're probably going to be angry that they lost and too proud to admit it. And unfortunately, I think that's going to lead to more and more outbursts, more and more outrage. You're going to see the media just jump through all kinds of hoops logically to make some sort of connection, some sort of something to save face. But with anybody that has half a mind and can think critically, and I mean being able to actually point out logical fallacies and that sort of mindset, manipulation tactics, all of that stuff, you're going to find that those types of individuals are going to probably put a lot of the Democrats on the back burner. I think Trump is kind of lucked out in a way because he can set the stage relatively easy for a solid 2020 performance. I'm not saying he's guaranteed to get reelected, but he has some talking points to really go after and to drive home. They don't pay me, so I'm not giving up my ideas on that. So until they start hooking me up, I ain't saying shit. But there's some talking points there. There's some zingers. So I hope that you guys understand moving forward, you got to put the Mueller thing and the Russia thing on the back burner. There's nothing there, man. There's nothing there. And is it gonna hurt? Yeah, it's gonna hurt. Everybody was thinking that there was some sort of connection. There's not. He ran a fair campaign. He paid for it by himself. He spent 20% of what the Democrats spent. And he won by a pretty large margin. And people were ready for that. They want to see prosperity come back. Is it really happening? It's debatable. But look for the Democrats to hit the economy next. I would venture to say that you're going to see probably some stock market issues going into 2020, circa 2008. Think back to then, the stock market crash happened right before the 2008 election. So, I mean, just be smart, man, because they're playing a game right now, and you've already had well-known Democrats like Bill Maher come out and has openly said that they want a stock market crash, whatever it takes to beat Trump. Right? It's about beating Trump. It's not about what's good for the country, what's good for you and I. We don't matter to them. It's about their pride and their agenda, their ego, what they want. It's not about you and I, man. So there's no real reason for you and I to have hate in our heart for each other. You know, we should take care of each other, because it really is kind of us versus them. You know, they don't care about us, bro. They don't give a shit. They're fracturing us and pitting us against each other so they can win. And whoever has the craziest of the crazies, they use as leverage in these weird negotiations that they have. You know, and when they're arguing back and forth and they're making their points and which points they're going to concede to, a lot of it comes around, well, who's going to act out first? Who's got the craziest of the crazy? You know, and you've seen Trump kind of talk about that, using the military and bikers and things like that. So that is a very real tactic that they use. It's just people are superficial when they listen to the news, or they only listen for buzzwords and they don't actually focus in on of what these people are saying, remember what they're saying, and compare and contrast that, and see if that works with what they say the next day or the day after, right? Or in that particular issue when it comes up a month later. You have to track it and really listen to these people. At the end of the day, they do not care about you and I. They do not. It is about their pride, their ego, and how they can get these talking points out there to take care of themselves and keep lining their pockets and keep soothing their ego and making them feel good, like they're controlling the minds of America and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's an ego trip for a lot of people to have, you know, a lot of followers or high ratings or this or that. It's an ego thing. I hope and pray that people that do see this, and I know I'm probably gonna get like 200 views if I'm lucky, right? But for the people that do see it, you know, the thing is, allow yourself to grow. If you're a Democrat and you're wrapped up in this Russia thing, don't take it hard, man. Don't take it hard. They played us. Your democratic values can still be something that you hold dear to, right? Your party failing and lying to you, that's something that can be corrected in house, and then you can fix that. You can work to fix that party, just like, you know, Republicans should work to fix their party. So that way we can come together and kind of have some sort of negotiation, right? And talk and get things done. Because right now, for the last 2 years, you know, we haven't had a Congress that was as productive as it should have been, you know, or a Senate as productive as it should have been. Local legislation as well. I mean, there really is a ripple effect from the top down. And you can't really blame that on Trump. There's a lot of obstruction that's going on. And that was happening with Obama. The Republicans did it to him. You know, the Democrats did it with Bush. Some would say rightfully so, it was around the wartime. And Republicans did it with Clinton in the 90s. It's par for the course, man. This is how they operate. And the other party comes in, they automatically become the obstructionists. The filibusters start coming and all of that. It's not about you and me and getting the job done. It's about whose party wins and whose party's best as a football team. You know, as Redskins, Cowboys, Lakers, Celtics. You know, that's kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about Michigan, Ohio State. You know, and it's not right. It's tribalism, and this is why, you know, I think that this duopoly, right, on our political system is detrimental to the long-term viability and survivability of this country. You have two opposing forces. You need to be able to break that up and have real dialogue and real representation of the people out there. And what happens is it forces the other one, because their strength has been weakened, forces the other one to kind of come to the table and have a conversation. And I do believe over time you're going to see that with the Libertarian Party and the Green Party, or some offshoot of that. But I believe you're going to start to see some of these parties really start to bloom in the next 10, 20 years or so. Maybe even before then. 2020 is going to be interesting. Kind of see if that is given a fair shot in the media, which it probably will not, because both of these high-ranking media companies have their side. They're not going to. Fox News isn't going to put a libertarian in there. This is going to eat into their base for the Republicans. They're going to go crazy. Same with the Democrats. You're not going to see too much Green Party stuff, if you see any at all. And they'll work behind the scenes, just like they did in 2016 to keep them out. The Democrats absolutely will do that shit. Absolutely. Donna Brazile, what she did with Clinton was treasonous, in my opinion. I mean, it's horrible. It's disgusting. You can't do that. You're interrupting, you're disrupting the true natural path of the electoral process. The election process. You're cheating. But you guys don't want to talk. Most people don't want to talk about what the Democrats did, the DNC did. So I won't say anything. Maybe I will. Probably. Anyway, y'all be safe.